Hi, everyone. I'm Dave.
And I'm Robert.
Welcome to our fifth quarter podcast. We're so excited to share some key leadership and management principles that tie well to our bachelor's program and really stem from kind of the gridiron from football and different sports topics, both the pro and the college game. We're so thankful for Chipola College for sponsoring our podcast, Fifth Quarter, and giving us this fantastic opportunity to film from the studio here at our main campus in Marianna, Florida. And Chipola College provides so many opportunities for students through certificates, associates, bachelor programs. It's exciting to look at some key management leadership principles that really tie well to football. So, Robert, this was your idea to kick it off, this podcast in the early days, and I see we've added some stuff to our podcast. What do we got here in front of us today?
Well, we got a Rydell, I believe that's a Speed Flex helmet.
Wow, Speed Flex.
Yeah, and not to toot my own horn or anything, but I'd say it was a pretty good idea.
That was a great idea. It looks sharp, and thanks Haley for the logo. Kind of a shout out to her. It looks really good. So, all right, let's get into our content. What do you have in store for us today? We start with the pro or the college?
We'll start with the college. First off, I want to say that we had 2 weeks off there. Had to take a little break, a little sabbatical, if you will.
We've been working really hard, so well earned.
Yeah, absolutely. But as you can see, nothing's changed in Tallahassee. 22-38, Florida State Seminoles fell to North Carolina State. And I was having a conversation with somebody the other day. The North Carolina State game, almost every year that I can remember, is one of those games where it can go either way. It's not a guaranteed win. The final score, like I said, was 38-22. NC State ended up taking it, improving to 5-3. Florida State Seminoles, as heartbreaking as it is, fall to 2-6 on the year. Chubba Purdy, the guy from Arizona, there was a lot of buzz around him at the quarterback position, I think, to start the season. Had a little knee injury, if I'm not mistaken. He kind of sat out a few games. Came into the game 15 for 23, 181 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. That was pretty impressive. Tate Roadmaker, 3 for 5, 19 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. I think that Roadmaker guy, he's probably hear about him in the next couple of years. So he's got a little breaking in, a little work to do. But Florida State, this is one of those seasons that I said in some of our earlier podcasts. It's going to take a lot of growing. There's going to be a lot of groundwork that needs to be laid. As a matter of fact, word got around that Norvell, I think, cut most of the offensive linemen all down to freshmen. So I think he's trying to scrap the whole system and just start over.
Wow, so when you look at trying to build something for success, it does take a team focus. You need to have that framework, that foundation in place. So he may be looking at just trying to build for the future and using this as a rebuilding year. If you look at the Wolfpack, what's their record right now?
Right now, it's showing here 5-3. Pretty impressive.
5-3, okay. Now, did I dream this, or is there a connection with Russell Wilson in the Wolfpack?
Yeah, I believe Russell Wilson, the great NC State quarterback, I believe they'll hang their hat on him. Also, Super Bowl champion quarterback with the Seattle Seahawks.
Then did he end with NC State, or did he ended with Wisconsin, right?
I want to say it was ended with Wisconsin, if I'm not mistaken. But there'll be somebody in North Carolina that'll hang their hat on. Oh, Russell Wilson played football at our college. We're special.
So big win. They actually won. It was in North Carolina, right? So didn't have to win that game or travel to Tallahassee. So who's FSU playing next? Do you have that in front of you?
I'm scared to tell you. I know, but I'm scared to tell you. But I'm going to face my fear and say it anyway. The almighty Clemson Tigers.
Oh, wow. And their quarterback's back, right?
Yep. Trevor Lawrence back in full swing. And it's my understanding that he's out for blood. I don't know if you caught this, but over the last couple of weeks they played Notre Dame. I can't remember just when that game was. But Notre Dame actually ended up upsetting Clemson.
Right, backup quarterback, and was it 2, 3, 4 overtimes? And if Clemson could have held on, that was their season right there. I mean, they can still, make a strong push, but not to speak out of turn, but Notre Dame may be overrated. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think they got a couple of losses still ahead of them, but we'll see. Does FSU get to play Notre Dame later?
Well, they already played them.
Oh, they did?
Yes,
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, we covered that. I think it was probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago that we had covered that.
Okay. 2 weeks off, that really kind of...
I'm telling you, it'll mess with your mind. But that's the thing. Like, even in the course of 2 weeks that we haven't done a podcast, you see nothing's really changed. FSU took on Pitt, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, and the University of Pittsburgh ended up routing Florida State, and normally that's been one of those games in previous seasons where it's been almost a guaranteed win. It's like a tune-up game, but that just goes to show you how far this program has sunk, and that comes with coaching changes and players coming and going, players whether it's entering the transfer portal or it's just them leaving and quitting or getting kicked off the team for simple violations.
So I did get the memo. I'm wearing the kind of a crimson, the red color today. And I noticed you're not wearing, it's not the FSU hat you're wearing. What is that you're wearing?
Tampa Bay Bucks hat.
All right.
I'm going to have to hang my hat on the success of the Tampa Bay Bucks this year. They've actually impressed me. And speaking of that, let's jump right into the Pro Bowl. The previous game for Tampa taking on the Carolina Panthers. Carolina right now at 3-7 after that loss to my Tampa Bay Bucks. Tampa's improved to 7-3. Brady's really the hot hand this season. He's never ceased to amaze me. Tampa Bay in that game really shined. The first quarter, a little rocky start, come out with a touchdown. Carolina put 2 touchdowns on the board, so the momentum was kind of back and forth that first half. But then here's where the momentum really starts shifting in the third quarter. Brady comes out, we put 12 on the board, and then 17 in the fourth quarter to finish it off 46-23. And this is coming off the loss the week before against the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints seem to be the kryptonite right now to the Tampa Bay Bucks. Lost twice to them. Once at home and once on the road.
So that first game, they were just gelling. Gronk wasn't really there.
No.
So Brady's found his stride. And the Saints that, we had, the Bucks playing, it was in New Orleans, right? The game that they lost just recently. Or no, the last game that they just lost was at home.
I want to say it was at home.
Because the first game was in New Orleans.
The first game was in New Orleans, yes.
And that was close. They actually were winning and then lost that. And we talked about that leadership principle of just keeping the troops focused and building that momentum, and they kind of let that slip away. But this last game in Tampa Bay, they kind of got crushed, by the Saints. The Saints showed up. But now Drew Brees is hurt, so I think it's anyone's conference, anyone's division now.
Well, here's my thing. Drew Brees being hurt, the question I want to ask is now, how long is he going to be out? Is he going to recover in time for the playoffs?
He is getting a second opinion, right, on his injuries.
It's my understanding he is, but here's what you got to understand. New Orleans Saints, Sean Payton, he will find a way to win. They got Jameis Winston, who previously was with the Tampa Bay Bucks, but that was obviously a previous coaching staff. But now you got Winston under Sean Payton's coaching staff. He's got some real experienced guys around the ball. And I believe he's surrounded by coaches that will really put him in the best position to win. So if need be, let's say Drew Brees gets that second opinion and the doctor says, look, it's just not feasible, you need to sit the rest of the season out. Could Jameis Winston potentially carry and feed off of the momentum that Drew Brees has started earlier in the season? It could happen. I'm not going to say that it can't. But then you got the guy in New Orleans, Taysom Hill. Very quick quarterback, very agile.
Number 7. I was going to mention him. He's one of the fastest guys on the field.
Yeah.
Can throw the ball.
Yeah,
can move the ball.
And then, if you ever get in a tight, the run game for New Orleans, you got Alvin Kamara from Tennessee, very, very powerful running back. I would almost compare him to ours at Tampa, Ronald Jones II, very physical runner. But not to take away from the Bucs' success. That Saints game was really hard to take. But 46-23 on Carolina. Just this last week, it was good to get back to that in that win column.
Now, was Christian hurt during this game or before this game?
I cannot remember.
He's hurt now, though, I think.
I believe he is now. I didn't get any updates on him after the game. But Brady's numbers, even in this Carolina game, were pretty impressive. He was 28 for 39, 340 yards total, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Ronald Jones, I don't know if you saw, he was the FedEx Ground Player of the Week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they chose him for this. He was 23 carries, 192 yards, averaging 8.3 yards a carry. Only had 1 touchdown, but yet almost 200 rushing yards. It's pretty average these days for an NFL, running back. I would say the good ones anyway. But for somebody like Ronald Jones II being a young guy, that's pretty impressive to come in and get almost 200 rushing yards.
Right, and if you look at the rushing yards for the Panthers, if you had that in front of you to pull that up real quick.
Let's see here.
If Christian was out that game, they may not have had any. He's their star running back out of, I think, Stanford.
Yes. And as a matter of fact, I remember watching him at Stanford, some of the stuff. And that's another thing. Stanford has produced some pretty good quarterbacks, guys like Andrew Luck.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's Christian McCaffrey,
That's
as a
right.
running back. They produced some pretty good guys. Let's see. Let's look here at the Panthers. The running back position, looks like Christian McCaffrey was out. Davis was in, 7 carries, 32 yards, averaging 4.6 yards with no touchdowns.
So that kind of helped shore up the defense a bit.
Yep. And this goes back to what I said in some of our previous episodes. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. When you plan for a season, most coaches, they don't like to say this or admit this, but what they're going to do is they're going to take the best players, the best 11 men, and put them on the field. That gives them the best chance to win. But here is the issue. Nobody's exempt from reality. The reality is that even the best players, if you're not careful, they'll get hurt. If they get hurt and they're out for the season, then what are you going to do? Do you just not invest in your second, third, and fourth string on the bench?
Fantastic view on how to manage and to be effective. The thought of having the team focus. The thought with the Bucks. So you got Brady, you have Gronk back. They added a new receiver, and so you have the receiver core. You have some depth, so you actually have an offensive team that can play. You have pieces that can move around. So they are built for the long haul this season.
Definitely built for the long haul. But you bringing up Antonio Brown, that's something I failed to mention. Antonio Brown, phenomenal receiver. I don't think he's any stranger to the game. People know his name. But here's the part that concerns me with him coming to Tampa. When we first got the news, hey, Antonio Brown's coming to Tampa. That's great, talent-wise. On the field, he's a phenomenal receiver. But here's my issue. Off the field, he's had a lot of off-the-field issues in the past.
Maybe Brady can help rein him in a little bit.
Well, you would hope. I think Brady really rallied for him to come to New England. He had that little stint at New England with the Patriots, but it just didn't work out with the Pittsburgh Steelers. But now him at a place like Tampa, Bruce Arians, a phenomenal coach, actually sat down and talked with him and told him, you can either be a team player, you can get along with people in the locker room, or you can pack your bags and get gone.
So a lot happened with the Bucks. They are 6-3. We think they have
7-3.
7-3. So they have some great momentum. Could still pull out the division, especially with some injuries for their competitor, the Saints. They did lose to them twice, so they need to have a better record, right, to pull out the division. The Bucks, who are they playing coming up? Did we talk about that?
The Rams.
The Rams, okay. And the Rams have won some games. They just beat somebody unexpectedly. I caught a highlight of that game.
To be fair, it's very like on Sunday. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, I keep up with multiple games." I normally focus on just the teams that are close by, and I try to study a lot on the upcoming opponents' games. Obviously, failed to do so within this last week. I do know that Tampa Bay is playing the Rams coming up. I believe that's going to be a Monday night football game.
Okay, so could be some offensive prowess there, chance to.
You could. Todd Gurley, though, their running back, he was somebody that they prided themselves in. Now he's gone to the Falcons. You got a guy like Jared Goff with L.A. They're a decent team. I just don't know if Jared Goff's going to be able to match up against
some strong defenders on the Bucs side.
Well, and something else, you got to figure that the LA Rams, defense is pretty stacked. It's pretty good. But somebody like Tom Brady, I believe when he was with the Patriots, it was 2 or 3 years ago when the Patriots played the Rams for the Super Bowl. Jared Goff and them guys come in there, and it was literally a battle of the quarterbacks is what it was. And Brady, being the veteran that he is, just kind of showed Jared Goff, like, look, I'm no stranger to the Super Bowl.
Right, so it'll probably have the same outcome for the upcoming games.
Right,
so
and I'll go ahead and do you one further. I'll go ahead and predict the score. I normally don't do this kind of stuff, and I know I'll probably be way off in left field, but I do look for Tampa Bay to get the win. Whether it's at home at Raymond James Stadium or it's somewhere out in California at the Coliseum. But I look for the final score to be somewhere along the lines of 38-21 Tampa.
Okay, good.
I look for it to be 38-21
got it noted.
Tampa.
And Robert, hey, nice job on that helmet, that logo. I mean, wow, that was a great design. Haley really pulled that together for us, and I really think it really pops for our podcast. So good stuff today, Robert.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. Have a great week, man.
Yep, you too.